Hi everyone, welcome to the Gwenton Show, and we've got our first guest, no other than Clasford, the legend, and the people's champion.
People in Tottenham have been coming to see Clasford Sterling for nearly 30 years. He describes himself as a community worker, somebody who spent his life trying to make sure his area is a safe one. Walking up the high road towards the police tape, he sees some of that work undone.
It's the local people, the Tottenham people who have to pick up the aftermath. You know, it's their lives that's turned upside down now.
I'm a youth and sports development officer for London Borough of Haringey, predominantly working around Broadwater Farm Estate, Haringey and further afield now because we have so many kids from so many different areas that come here to actually participate in what we do here, which is youth and sports development.
I remember as a young man growing up, coming over to the Broadwater Farm and meeting Clasford, and then coming back many years after with my own children. And Clasford was still saying the same thing. I remember last time I saw you, you was sending boots home, collecting boots and sending it home. And there's not many people in the community that have supported generations of young people that have gone on to have their children. And we need to commend and understand people like Clasford only come once in a lifetime. So first and foremost, thank you, Clasford, for being the first guest on my show.
Gwenton, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure.
Yeah. So the first thing I'm going to ask is, how was things on this estate in your days?
Well, you know, it wasn't nice, but when you're young, you know, you don't see the problems. You're growing up and you're trying to enjoy life. And until I got involved in community work, I didn't realise that the estate, especially on Broadwater Farm Estate, was that bad. It was a dump, and it was turned into a dump. As far as I'm concerned, I mean, they can get upset by the council. It was turned into a dump. They decided to dump predominantly young black unemployed families over here that couldn't help themselves or this, that, and the other, rather than mixing and blending with maybe some unemployed, some working, this, that, and the other, and all different cultures. And it didn't work out well, because at the end of the day, with the police constantly harassing, especially young black youths in those days, you know what I mean? The estate basically became a bad estate.
Yeah.
When just by default, because it wasn't. I don't suppose it was anyone wanted it to be like that. But at the end of the day, it just turned out to be that way. And I was approached by some women, which everybody knows now, Dolly Kiffin, and there was some other women involved as well, Rose Hughes. You know what I mean? And they saw something in me that I could help change young people's lives and Broadwater Farm Estate. And for me, you know, once I started to go to community meetings and council meetings and meetings like that, I suddenly noticed the estate was a dump.
Yeah.
You know, and it was a shock when I tried to tell people that, you know, you're young and you're growing up, and even silly little things you may do, you're messing about, you throw a stone and it cracks a window or somebody's car window or a house window, and you run off and laugh.
Yeah.
And then after about 10 years later, you think to yourself, God, that was stupid. Yeah. You know what I mean? But, you know, through young eyes, you don't see the problem. That's why it's so important for the elders before us to kind of, yes, grab us one side and say, listen, this isn't good for our community and this, that, and the other. And for me, you know, that's how kind of I was awakened to the fact that, you know, hey, this estate is a dump, and people are living like they live in a dump.
So with looking at that, with families coming over here from the Windrush, and my nan came here in the 50s, and she's told me stories about working 2 jobs and walking in the snow. What do you think happened for the generation to end up where it is today?
Well, yeah, I'm kind of, you know, I'm the Windrush legacy. I came here in 1964. My father and my mum come here before me. And it is hard. But there is when I mean hard, it's hard to talk about because there is a reality to black people's lives. And the reality is slavery. It happened, didn't do us any favors, still not doing us any favors. You know what I mean? Because there's part of the world that's been stolen from us.
Yeah.
Not just our country, the world. No black nation can make any major decision in this so-called superpower countries, which are predominantly white.
Yeah.
So we're looked upon as third world. I don't know who gave anybody the right to call them first world, but we're branded as third world, and what that means in the eyes, especially of our white brothers and sisters, we don't have no sense.
Yeah.
Right? They're going to come and teach us how to do this. Well, you've stolen all our inventions and stuff like that. So it's quite obvious that we're not third world countries. You understand what I'm saying? So all of that has got to be dropped. But battling through the 60s, it was difficult because, being called these names that we were being called openly, and it was legal then. You know what I mean? And that kind of trauma that we had to go through in order to get where we are today. And then we had to be nice in the way we responded to being treated horribly.
Okay.
We had to be nice, and the wording was, "Oh, you got a chip on your shoulder," So I say to my white brothers and sisters, let me put your people through bondage for 400 years and see if you don't have a chip on your shoulder. And that chip is what you're doing is wrong.
Yeah.
And we want to try and correct and right that wrong, because as we progress into the future, I've got grandchildren, and I don't want to leave this world with them having to face what my parents faced and what their parents faced, and what I face and what my son is facing. I want them to live in a more freer world.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where, there is an equal voice, whether black, white, or whatever nation, any other nation, Asian, want to call themselves. You know what I mean? I would like to put it out there because I've learned through my life, and I know there is hate on all sides. I live in a world of a global family. I have no desire to go into a rocket with any of them other billionaires who wants to go out to space and live on the moon. You can go and live on the moon and leave us here. Yeah. And we will look after the planet that has been given to us. You understand what I'm saying? So I look at everybody as my global family. Yeah. And I will treat everybody that way. And it's a pity that it's money over life, that we can't share wealth, that we can't share food, and that we can't live like that in this world. But it is what we've got at the moment. That's a suggestion that I'm putting out there, that if people want to adopt and look and think, well, you know what, Class is right, we are all one family, it's one earth, you know what I mean? Let's try and share and help each other. That's me. The hate that's been the 60s or before me and the 70s and 80s, right? We've got to change all that. We've got to change all that. You know what I mean? There is still institutions like the police, governmental establishments, local authority. There is still institutional racism in those departments. They won't admit it. It may be a little and subtle, but it's there.
It's there, yeah.
It is there. You know what I mean? And as the black community, what I would say to my fellow black people out there, we've got to stop thinking that our white brothers and sisters is going to fund us.
Yeah.
Right? We have to start doing things for ourselves, buy our own property. We've got millionaires out there. We've got business people out there. Right? Get together. Start opening our own shops. You understand what I'm saying? We don't see a black Tesco's or a black Sainsbury's owned. So we employ a load of our black brothers and sisters. Well, listen, people may think, he's being a bit political here and radical. No, because our white brothers and sisters do it. Yeah. They employ their own. So at the end of the day, right, we're supposed to be out there trying to encourage that in ourselves. You know what I mean? And, you know, I've been to many meetings, right? And I sympathise with some of our black brothers and sisters, but listen, I can't live in the past. I can't change it. It all happened.
It's what's done is done.
Right, but what I won't do is throw that past onto my children and keep them in the 60s. Yeah. I can't. I want them to go forward. I want them to remember. I want them to educate and remember of all the evil that was done. Yeah. So it never happens again. But I want them to get the knowledge and go further. Own businesses, employ people, do things that I don't think we're doing at the moment. You know, because in this world, even with the African countries, why can't they get together and trade amongst themselves? Why do they need the West to set all these rules? You know, I just don't get it. You know, you now have that. There's not many colonial-owned black countries anymore. Yeah. So you know, we're in a position to do that, but we still seem to be frightened to link with each other. You know what I mean? So, you know, it may sound like I'm going on, but these are something that I feel passionately inside, that we as black people, you know, we have to start to do that. Yes. You know, we have to start to do these things for ourselves, you know, and I think that is the way forward. I mean, television. Why did I said to my daughter-in-law, why are you showing my son only these black tapes of these things? He says, well, I can't find anything, tapes with all these white people. He's a black child. Yeah. Oh, I can't find anything on the internet or this, that, and the other. You know what I mean? So my grandson's going to grow up, want to be a white child, really. Yeah. Because we haven't got anything for them to watch. We haven't got any programs on the TV. This, that, and the other. We want to be rich like a white rich person. We'll never be that person. So we need to watch programs. There should be at least a 50-50 share of the programs on the TV. You can't get that.
But it comes back down to what you just said. It's about do for self. And until people start following that model, nothing's going to change. The complaining and finger blaming is not going to change anything.
Exactly.
So if we've got a pot of money here, and if all of us put the money together, you could go and buy that school or buy that TV station or build your own TV station and pump out your own stuff. It changes things.
Yes.
And this is what I'm taking from what you're saying here.
Yes.
Do for self, love each other, black, white, Chinese, Indian, Asian, no matter what color you are, what creed, love each other, stop the hate, and stop the darkness. But the main message to take away from today, people, is do for self. My channel is the truth. Like, subscribe, and share.